So R. Kelly was just sentenced yesterday to 30 years in prison for his abuse against women and children, and it really got my brain thinking about an age-old question. Can we separate art from the artist? So that is not up for me to decide for you. I can only make my mind up, whereas you can only make your mind up, and those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. So today we're going to talk about the ethics, the morals, the history, the dangers. But first, welcome to Venture First. My name is Alex, and remember, in order to venture deeper, one must venture first, and that's exactly what I'm here to do today. I really, guys, appreciate you joining me, but without further ado, let's just jump into this. Art is highly subjective, so like I said, I cannot make that decision for you, nor can anybody else. So I believe that separating art from the artist is individually subjective, and each of us have to make our own mind up whether or not we are going to personally cancel these artists. But the greater good, the society, can decide the fate of these artists if they find them to be problematic, if that makes sense. So I want to get into another point of this is not a new idea. There is a long history of separating the art from the artist, and time again, it is really decided that it is very hard to separate the art from the artist, but there are times that it does make sense. So the artists from history that I want to talk about today are Gil and Picasso. They both have accusations that parallel the two modern day artists that I will be speaking of in this video a little bit later. So in January 2022, a group of people watched as a man took a hammer and destroyed a statue made by Gil yelling pedophile. So this statue was made in 1932, which raises that age-old question, how long has this debate been going on specifically for this artist? So this is not a new question for him. This has actually been going on since he released a diary, or his diary got released, describing these acts with his teenage daughters. This has actually been going on for a long time, and it is just now being brought to justice. So now I'm going to move on to Picasso, but I want you to think about the actions that Gil took and how they parallel a certain someone that we will be talking about here in a second. Now, Pablo Picasso, I'm going to read you this, and I want you to think maybe if the sexes were reversed and see who I am connecting this to. So Pablo Picasso treated women very badly. He said things like there are two types of women, goddesses and doormats. So basically he's saying there's people that you hold to a high level of respect, and then people you treat like garbage, that you step on, that you treat poorly, that you abuse, and you get them out of the way. He used to cheat on his wives, he used to beat them, and not only would he cheat on them, but after he was done with them, he would move on to the next thing. So this is odd because he is one of the world's most renowned artists and still is to this day. So while Gil's destruction is being paraded, a lot of people, the mass majority of people, still honor Pablo Picasso as being one of the best artists of all time, or one of the most world-renowned artists of all time. So this really begs the question, when do we decide when or when not to separate the art from the artist? Is it when the majority of people find out about something and we decide to cancel them altogether? Or is it when we individually decide that, okay, I am not going to support an artist for these reasons, and that slowly becomes the society's norm? Now, before we move on, I really do want to point out that enjoying art and enjoying art from a problematic artist should not make you feel guilty. Art is subjective. Art is designed to make you feel good. It's designed to bring out emotions, release endorphins. Art is not something that should make you feel guilty for enjoying it. I do want to get that out of the way now. I do not blame anyone if they decide to support artists after certain things, but there is a chance to receive backlash for that. And that is something that you will have to decide as an individual, whether or not you want to continue supporting these artists and whether or not you should have to defend yourself to support these artists. Going back to a previous point, this article from Appalachia Online states, the connection between art and the artist isn't a problem until the artist becomes problematic. Renowned artists, including Pablo Picasso, have a reputation for misogyny and outright sexist themes within their artwork. So this goes back to, okay, are we celebrating the art or the artist, and are they intertwined? Is he a misogynist, and are there misogynistic themes in his artwork? And if they combine, is that an issue? So what happens when the artist himself or herself is problematic, but the art isn't necessarily, and vice versa? What happens when the art is problematic, but the person isn't? Let's get into that. So first up is R. Kelly. We know what he did. We know what he's done, and we know what he's done for years. But yet people still support him and find ways to make excuses to support the art. Now, like I said, you should not feel guilty and you should not have to defend yourself for liking these artists or liking their art, but that is par for the course when you do decide to support problematic people. And what it really means on top of that is when people support these problematic people, you are enabling them to continue to be problematic. And while you're enabling them to be problematic, some people completely refuse to acknowledge what they have done, and that is when it becomes a problem. If you want to support someone's art, that is completely okay, but we must acknowledge what they've done in order to make it known that we know what they did is not okay. It is not a problem to enjoy someone's art while condemning them, right? We have to condemn actions that are bad for society, that are bad for people, that branch out and hurt other people. If he has these ideas in his own head of the things that he likes and that brings him pleasure, if he keeps that to himself, that is okay. As soon as he harms someone else, we have to acknowledge it as a society and say, this is problematic. We can no longer separate this from the art, from the artist. And if you decide to like his art, at least acknowledge where we are coming from in those respects. So next I want to get into someone that we all know, Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. And here are the dangers of cancel culture, of not separating the art from the artist. So in 2016, when an op-ed came out and everybody canceled Johnny Depp, they did not separate his art from his person. They said he did this, therefore we can no longer support him or his art or anything in between. He got dropped from movies, he got fired, he got blacklisted, he got canceled. That is the danger of not separating the art from the artist if it is possible. So like I said, not every artist that has any semblance of problematic behavior should be canceled. But if they are problematic, we must condemn that, and we have to realize that the art and the artist is a package deal. So another artist that I really want to bring up here is one of my favorite artists of all time is Eminem. So what happens when he himself is not problematic, but his art is? Do we cancel that as well? Because people have been trying for a long time, and people try to say that he is this, he is this, he is this, whereas his art is this, his art is this, his art is this. So there are definite times where the reverse of this happens as well. And we also have to acknowledge that he is a person and an entertainer, and his art is this. This also goes into Marilyn Manson. There is a case coming up where because people think he is scary, his art shows this, that he must be this in person. So if you've made it this far, I really urge you to think, what is worse? A problematic person with unproblematic art, or problematic art with an unproblematic person? I have my own ideas, and you can probably make an assumption by what I've said today, but I really want you guys to think about this and decide for yourself which one you think is worse, and can you separate the art from the artist, and should we? Should we? That is the big question, is can we and should we? That is up for you to decide. My name is Alex. I really appreciate you joining me. Remember, in order to venture deeper, one must venture first, and that's exactly what I'm here to do today. If you guys like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and talk to me down in the comments what you think. I really do appreciate your time, so until next time, thank you.